figures more.
Right.
And. I don't remember.
On Zoom. That's not pretty,
I participated in a sense that, it really was an important plan to come up with.
That I
and
know.
had
yeah.
a new format, both on the fire state. So I know I did a lot of work on that, and I don't recall.
That's
you know,
it.
doing it
That's fine.
as a citizen. Or as something that's all about different capacity, the first couple of years.
Oh, wow.
But there was a vigorous participation, because there were some real issues that were all divided people that were important just to figure out at the time. So. Dave Culver.
No, remember that.
Eric, years with.
Maybe I don't actually know.
Shut it along.
What's not here since last week, those things that it talks about being barriers, and then, how many more the important issues. The board,
It was a whole process. That got, we had a lot of input in ourselves. We had, I'm blanking on his last name. I mean, sort of. We're gonna go through the, leaders and, feedback. And then the legal commission part of what's larger or. It's kind of, and then that other. For those things, it's, a lot of the stuff in here is just boilerplate from the regional commission, when you read that, and it's necessary.
With the exception of the energy chapter, I think that we contributed more to our town plan than most other town plans in the region.
Absolutely,
Regional,
absolutely.
bigger,
I
and
would never recommend it, but I believe the time that we were adopting ours, there were 34 plans that had been adopted. I read them all. Okay. And they were much more boilerplate, much less thoughtfulness about their own unique situations on the whole. This, to me, could be easily the best plan that came up in the state. And a lot of the things going on were just ridiculous. I love Burlington. In the plan, did not allow any energy production within the town limits. But we're going to bring in renewable energy from outside, things like that. But anyways, this is a good plan, and I actually worked as a planner for about 8 years or so in the city of Toronto. And I do plans in that sense. This is a good plan.
So 15. Work. Approval of the agenda. And I got a couple things that bring up in new business that I think we all got some emails recently. Approval of September minutes.
I've got a question relative to the minutes. It may seem like a kind of technical problem, but later in the last part of the minutes, an update on Grafton Outdoor Alliance, which I don't think we discussed very much during our meeting. And I believe this may have been added by Morgan.
No, Matt read the email at the end, so I included it. Since you read it, I put it in.
Okay, so this was actually read.
Yeah, Matt pulled it up on his phone and read it, so I included it.
Okay. wasn't aware that,
No, they're up
I
there.
could have stated that way.
as long as it was part of our meeting,
Yes,
I'm good.
yeah.
I just didn't want it to be something that was added after the fact and would have been regarded as part of the minutes, and we didn't discuss. So, good.
Any other? Minute, comments? Most of you weren't. Good job, Buzz, on the minute, thank you.
All those are important.
I like John's suggestion of keeping.
So, all in favor, so, rules, 7 minutes, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I try not to cheat.
That wasn't for the issue.
Well, the last meeting, we started on chapter 1 discussion, on the intro. And, I think doing what we're doing, just kind of keep rolling into this thing as time goes on and do a little bit each meeting and as we get closer and closer. More, maybe more fine tune what we're doing with it. But I'm trying to figure out how do we control some of the ideas that we're coming up with, do we have to go back to our minutes, find them, or are we just gonna rely on our remembering things as we're going along? How do we track all that? Is there a way we can track it? Should we do it on computers? Should we do it on hard copies? Do we make copies and keep, like, that's how we did the last one. We had copies of each chapter and we go through and all make our notes and. Do we want to go that far yet? No, not just yet.
Well, I try to capture what we said in the minutes, but that does get a little tedious if you're gonna go back to it.
Yeah, because we have some good ideas right up front with it.
Yeah, personally, I don't know how comfortable you are with it, but I'd rather share a document in the file and everybody can edit it. And you can see all the notes and comments.
We did start doing that at the end of the town plan
Yeah,
last time.
Or is that something when you farther down the road?
Chuck was doing that. He was sending us.
yeah. There's a, big cautionary about that. It's okay for us to put forward our, amendments and opinions. It is not okay for any of us to comment on each other's additions or comments. That has to be an open meeting.
And so in a meeting, we can discuss them.
Right.
So we can track, remember, we used to highlight, or Chuck would maybe word something for us, we'd bring it up in the meeting. And he'd read it, he'd be highlighting, and we'd all discuss it. And we make changes in the meeting.
But Eric, are you saying that it would, like, I mean, I really think that would be a practical thing to do, to have a document that is just, and even from the beginning, why not? I mean, it's just, right, just the sooner the better, you would work with.
Oh, we do on private teams, yeah, when we have a distributed team, then everybody can see it.
But would it be okay, Eric? Instead of saying, you know, I didn't like what Eric said, here's what I think. That we just, you say X, I say Y, Matt says Z, is that okay? So that's a ground rule, and then
Yeah.
that's the way you do it.
This thing that you have to just keep in the back of your mind all the time is that the public has a right to know what we are discussing. You were discussing. Putting out our opinions or modifications to be seen mutually is not a discussion.
Correct, okay.
But it has, most people, particularly from the corporate world, this is an anathema, so they all want to comment on each other's contributions. Carry on a virtual conversation over the internet or whatever, and you can't do that. Yes, you don't care.
So, getting back to. Making notes. On ideas. Do we all do that individually? Like I've got notes from the last meeting, they're brief. And, just a way to. Go back and say, okay, this is what we talked about, when we talked about chapter 1, we had an idea there. And then bring it up, rather than losing that thought. And we don't remember it, how can we do that?
Well, when I had gone through, I highlighted everything in yellow. From that chapter that, I want to bring it. Yeah. But you can also add a comment that then puts it off to the side. I could go through the minutes and add the comments from various people and not adjust them with that. And, then have that record in a document.
Yeah.
But then we can talk about it in this meeting if we don't want to show.
So we're just getting started, that's one thing Chuck was our not administrator, he was our,
Well, he was both our scribe and guide, if you will, since he's trained as.
but if we had ideas in a meeting, he would type it out.
Yeah.
And we'd share it with each other, and then it would be documented in the meeting minutes. And that's what I was saying, if we can go back, we have to go back and follow our minutes, but if we have any key thoughts, can we motion them to say, we'd like to consider this in our town plan, so that it gets documented and we don't forget about it, come up with a brainstorm of an idea in any of the chapters. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think I had the motion,
No?
but Chuck had set up a kind of a pooling of information in Dropbox. Where the document lived and evolved.
Yeah.
And I think it works all right. I've used Dropbox since he left. That was one way to document share between us. And it kept it just between us. Which I think is okay. Again, as long as we don't try to make discussions about it. Yeah, so your point is, I think, very well made that our thoughts tend to be a little bit ephemeral, and a year from now, we'll remember what we talked about tonight, add to chapter 1.
Right, yeah.
Well, this is. Like, a first go through on the draft,
Mhm.
and it's not gonna be the only draft.
Correct.
So, we've been approaching, I'm just marking things I'm saying, and I'm even with number of pages. That just as a first go through, something needs to be done, and maybe because the information is not relevant or it's changed, it's not necessarily that there's a new idea that's come forward yet. I think we've seen that so far. So I'm at ease with we're just sort of marking it up. We're going through this rather quickly in the chapter 1. So, by next spring, we'll be ready to the next iteration where that's gonna take a lot
We get a little more formal with it.
more careful
Yeah.
work, start thinking about wording and things like that. But this first time around, I think it's just that, this probably needs to be changed or, and
So just go by all our individual notes and kind of making notes on the agenda
Yeah.
itself. And,
this part of the plan and several of the other chapters are not gonna be particularly difficult to deal with. Other than the update, but some of the other things, new things that happen, especially with respect to energy. And housing like well. I can see that being something real difficult. And so the second thought I had is that at some point. We invite, one or two of the folks at the regional planning commission to Zoom with us. And say, okay, you tell us, and some new understanding of this state regulations and so on, what we have to address and what we can't, think about and so on. Whole situation now are the Airbnbs, they've just overtaken the town, so. This client can't ignore it with a couple sentences. We're gonna have to grapple with it, make suggestions.
So I think going through it. Each chapter the first time, do we want to invite guests? Now or wait till next year or?
Okay, well, oh, I'm sorry.
Invite guests and speak about particular chapters for us. From the Wyndham Regional, the state,
Oh,
do we do that now or just get a little refresher for all of us? First,
I'm not sure what role the regional planning commission can play with us now. If we're just highlighting things that we know. It might even be that they say, okay, we've got to put something here that's not there, but I'm not sure if we need them yet. I don't know, what do you think, Eric? You have more experience.
I would be careful to not overuse much unless we actually hire them. On the other hand, they are there as a resource to us and more than willing to give occasional guidance. The stuff that I emailed to you last month that outlined basically what the town planning process must encounter or encompass is a good thing to use as a guideline, and the guy that sent it to us I think would be a good one to invite in at some point in, between now and December, I'd say to critique and or make suggestions on how we're going along. There are other and sort of preferred way of doing things, which I don't believe we've got money for unless, no, if we applied for a municipal planning grant and could have secured several $1,000s, then we could have hired a staff person from WRC to be with us in a lot more intense fashion. And we've done that in the past.
Yeah.
It is helpful. It has not always been WRC. We actually hired a person from the Scotty RPC probably 20 years ago, who had just retired from being their executive director. Colin Kennedy, he was very helpful. And we've had somebody from WRC that wanted to dictate how our town plan is going to be written, and we wanted no part of it.
Is that something you look forward, we should be looking forward to have help in the year after this preliminary run, some point when you're doing more?
Yeah, if we can do the preliminary stuff with just occasional guidance, keeping us bumped into the right track going forward. And then perhaps with a budget of several $1,000s, hire one of us to come in here to be intense. Building the plan, basically. Because they're gonna be not only understanding what we're trying to do, but they'll understand the statutory and regional framework that has to fit into.
And we talked the one time about trying to find an intern. That might be interesting.
That has been talked about before.
Student that is in this field, but they can learn something at the same time as helping us record the information. Everyone like that. Right, so with that, next chapter will be, brought it up on. Topic.
Yes, historic, cultural and natural resources.
Yeah.
I read through it and I didn't have a lot of notes here. About, you know, historic, cultural and natural resources aren't going to change a lot. I mean, they haven't seen you for whatever. The one thing I did, it does talk about historic structures and the historic districts. It's a minor note. I noticed they didn't talk about the covered bridges. Well, I thought that might be included.
Yeah,
Good
point.
There's you know, something of note, you know, Vermont's kind of known for that a little bit.
Good point.
And then we talked about last time that I think there's actually been a town center designated.
Yes,
So that would probably be an update. You know, to this chapter.
Yeah, so would that will go here, Wes? Village designation,
yeah, but
we'll put it, but
well, it's really a commerce kind of thing. Its biggest intent, I think, is to enable funding for non-governmental entities, businesses, in other words, within the confines of a defined village to get financial aid.
So there was, I mean, clearly, and we're not doing this now, but there's much to update, perhaps, and stuff that happened. That's now fact rather than just anticipated.
Yes,
But I was also just, you know, saddened to see how many arts and crafts related businesses that were listed here in the last go around, or whatever, sort of are no longer here. And then I'm just curious, because I did not know about this, nor do I really understand the state is looking to reclassifying 3 local streams. Salesbrook, Willybrook, and Howbrook, and I don't know what that was about, but did that happen? And indeed, and I was really surprised, and I did not know that the Saxon River once had excellent trout fishing.
and in fact, it was pretty good right up until Irene.
Yeah, I had no idea.
and they stopped stocking it.
Oh, that would have.
Well, Irene also
Yeah,
basically wiped out most of they call it buyout of the food chain
yeah,
that fish require.
and the funding for stocking is probably diminished.
From
There's a stockers with salmon too, interest. Trying to get the salmon to run up.
Oh, to the Connecticut there.
There's still, I mean, the brook that runs off Fisher Hill, there's still trout in there, so maybe there's a chance they'll restart.
With the brook that runs along the side of the road, there has trout in it.
Yeah, I watch them every morning, I take a walk and I check them. Yeah, right between David's and Shell's. The little pool there right beside the road, there's probably plenty. Oh, these are mostly browns, there might be some rainbows.
Or geese.
Yeah.
When's the last time anyone saw someone fishing in a brook in Vermont? I see people fly fishing on their ponds where they have stock trout,
I've seen them in some ponds, I don't really see them.
and that's for nothing. Years ago, you'd see some, you know, vehicle pulled over and someone fishing in the stream all the time. Yeah.
I haven't seen it down in front of my place. Oh,
Battenkill was famous for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
you know, I forget the name of the state rep, retired a few years ago from Brattleboro area, David, yeah, but anyways, that's how he made his living. He was a guy. And, the brothers were problems.
Mhm.
I wondered about in the cultural resources, it's, you know, a starting point early on. Is we could contact some of these organizations and say, take a look at the description in here. You suggest any changes. And you know, give them an opportunity to update or emphasize different things. So we've got the Nature Museum. And History Museum. And the Turner Interpretive Center, that paragraph probably needs to be updated.
That's changed, but that's-
As mentioned, they were working on the restoration of camp,
Yeah,
and that's kind of done that.
yeah, there's now a highway that goes up there, you know, so, all that, you know, we just contact these folks and say, please update to us. And then that Museum of Mining and Minerals, I don't think that exists anymore. It barely existed anyway for about 30 years, but as far as I know, it's closed, am I right?
I think you're right.
It's gone, so, and ask the public library, maybe they, you know, things change in their world quite rapidly. And then, like Rutger said, that list of businesses, changed quite dramatically. And, we could add the MKT, you know. What do they call themselves? MKT Annex or something,
Oh, gift shop?
yeah, good shots. That, you know, that list has to be updated and defined.
By the time we get around to this,
They love way down there.
the cheese factory may or may not be in existence,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, what's going on there? Huh?
Interesting. I think my gut feeling is that they're looking for someone to buy it and say goodbye.
Yeah, it seemed reading between the lines, you
Yeah.
know more than me, but it really sounded like,
Yeah,
because.
so using the, we want to go international. Okay. Yeah, the first one that comes along today will buy it. So you have to keep the name and autograph them. Unfortunately. Then what happens with the structure? Does the Wyndham Foundation still own that property? And the cheese company is leasing it from Wyndham Foundation or how is that all about? And does that come up for sale? What are the options with that building?
Well, there you go, so wait, so just does anyone know, I'm just not to get ahead of it, does anyone know what their wastewater arrangement, do they have a huge septic there in that
For that?
facility?
It's the way that was
The way.
getting taken away or.
Yeah.
So they do spray some in that field, but most of it is removed. And trucked out. And sprayed, yeah. Where?
I don't know.
You know, well,
Some of it sprayed in, metal,
maybe that's really the only waste product that has to be dealt with there, it's not like there's any other affluent or anything.
no, there's just the bathrooms and septic for the. Structure for the boys, that's about it. My first thought is there's our brewery,
Yeah, but sort of, yeah, exactly,
brewery and tap room,
yeah. He's good.
and does that fall under Wyndham Foundation's Act 250? What happens there? That's good, that's something has to be done with that whole thing.
I agree, I would welcome that change. But the people that originally instituted Act 250 made it so that the regulations, the permitting goes with the land once they have their
Rips,
chemicals into it. it follows, even if you're, if you've sold it off and whatever triggered the Act 250 originally, is separate and gone away from it, it still controls.
For what we're on.
Yep. That's big political football. Well, I would comment on the cheese factory, that building, facility is, pretty sophisticated, that it, I would guess that the actual cheese making is probably a minor part of the investment there, the big part is that huge warehouse that is refrigerated. That's a big asset. Not very many people are, would appreciate the fact that that's a huge, both opportunity and investment. No small operation's gonna be able to afford a refrigerator that's big, it's very impressive.
We could do a hockey rink. So those are all things that are gonna change as we ever evolve, as we move through this. But what impact it has on our town plan, but.
Yeah.
We don't wanna do something that's gonna deter. What could happen in the future, no more than.
Yeah.
What Act 250 would do. Now, the covered bridges, the one covered bridge that we do have, is that it, that's not a historic? The
Cheese
cheese,
company in Porter.
the cheese one was, that was constructed in the 70s, wasn't it? There's nothing historic about that.
You can take that.
The
Was
winter,
around when I was a kid.
was that an original one?
30 years.
I remember when that was. No, what foundation of that?
It may be relatively new, but, first one, you know.
Yeah, we used it, when we were kids, but I do remember, do you remember when it was built? Come on,
Yeah, vaguely.
you
I
remember,
think there was another bridge.
you weren't in town then.
No,
But, Kidder Hill.
yeah, they got a major rebuild.
And that was all together, this week.
Is that on the register of historic structures?
No,
Well, listed on
I'd be surprised, but I don't know.
It's listed as, in our town plan, it's historic,
no. It's not
it's
listed.
not.
It does list the structures that are registered that, or at least it lists some, so it could be, and maybe it just.
Can you list those, what they were, listed there?
Okay. Get back to it.
But it's due to have your home. Around the bridge.
I think it is, I've not been a close party to that operation, but I know it was a big undertaking.
I mean, just right.
And Seth has a plaque in front of his
A
house.
list of homes that.
No, the front paragraph, that's it.
Yeah, you know,
Oh, yeah.
I have,
So it has Grafton District Schoolhouse #2. Butterfield House. Grafton Post Office. Park Farm.
background.
The Middletown Rural Historic District. The Mechanicsville Historic District. The Houghtonville Historic District and the Grafton Historic District.
which encompasses.
Maybe that the bridge is part of it.
Well, it has a cut, it could have covered the bridge. But that's it.
Anything more in that chapter? consider?
Well, at the end with the recommendations, I thought that probably will all need review, but I don't know if we're there yet. Because it had identified protected reserve important historic sites and fleet features, including structures, bridges, stone walls, foundations, mill sites and ruins.
Yeah.
So I thought there might be some more. And there's the old soapstone quarry. That would be really nice.
So who would be in charge, or what entity would cover resurrecting a path to these, or is there one now?
There's one now, the Windmill Hill Pinnacle Association.
Okay.
Has the partial that has the old quarry on it. And then the Grafton Improvement Association owns close to Pitter Hill. If you look on that. So between the Grafton Improvement Association and Windmill Hill Pinnacle Association. They have pretty much that whole section of Grafton of the trails.
No, are those two entities mentioned in the chapter?
And the Pinnacle wasn't probably.
Pinnacle wasn't.
And it probably, I don't know, maybe they got going, but that's a great idea.
I don't think I saw the Grafton Improvement Association.
Are those things that should go?
Yeah, no, the Pinnacle was around, but they were not empty Grafton.
They were still.
Yeah, they've kind of worked their way north.
They basically stopped at, Sleepy Valley Road.
We actually, did a hike there with my daughter. It's actually some really nice trails.
Great.
They also have that Creature Rock, which they didn't call that Creature Rock when I was a kid, it was just a rock. But it is a cool, rock, a little rock pile out in the middle of the woods. This definition is serpentine rock. It's got a picture of that.
Yeah.
Which, that was the thing that we used to go visit as, was a school trip every year. Like serpentine rock. So they actually have a really nice trail that goes by the Creature Rock, goes up to a Pinnacle overlook. And then we didn't make it to the soapstone quarry, but the trail said it goes by. They had a kiosk out there about it.
So is that something that, should we add these into our chapter, and is it something that the Outdoor Alliance can get involved with to be part of their?
I didn't know if I wanted to hear, or isn't there a recreation? Well,
There's recreation, yeah.
but it might belong here too, because it's a really cool trail, it goes all the way from Bernard Hill. Yeah, you can walk from there to Putney on this trail, and you can establish, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of it's in gravel.
I've hiked it from Putney this way. And we didn't have enough energy to come all the way, so we turned around and went back, it was still 7 miles.
Yeah. If you go down to the Cambridge Port, there's a little parking area just before the farm. That is, you can start there and start hiking it.
There's a bunch of.
So-
Road and.
I'm sure the Outdoor Alliance, this is something they're working on, to connect the trails,
Yeah,
and all of these historic sites should be included.
yeah. Turner Hill's in here and not part of the trail, and then the soapstone quarry, I didn't see in here. It did say something.
It was, yeah. Yeah, I would just mention it as part of the old.
Actually, soapstone artifacts in the historical stuff. But the quarry, that's a big deal back in the day, that's Goodrich Quarry. That was a big business behind that.
Yeah,
So.
it's not like it's just one quarry, it's a whole string of them.
Yeah,
Itself.
yeah. But it was, I guess it was known under the name of Goodrich, but you're right, it's probably a bunch of.
Have you been up in there? I've been up in there.
Quite a while ago,
Have
yeah,
you ever used the compass up in there?
no,
Remember Denny Abbott? Frank Abbott's son?
No.
From Saxonburg. We were up there and he was showing me, took out his compass. And the compass is something up there magnetically that's screws up the compass.
Yeah.
That quarry,
doesn't surprise me.
That's interesting,
yeah,
that could be a tourist thing.
Very right there.
Where compasses go.
take the compass with you.
I actually have one stamped on my hiking bag, but I didn't even look at it when I was
Yeah,
up there.
He was showing the board up there, long time ago. Probably
So,
25 years ago or more.
the most dramatic part of the quarry is right. As one turns off from, which is basically Kidder Hill Road that. Turns into Walker Road in Athens, turns off of it down Ledge Road. And right at that intersection, you just go like 100 yards down Ledge Road. And then go due south, there's a hole back in there, a big water hole.
Oh, yeah.
Palace, pile next door to the stuff, waste rock they've taken out.
Mhm.
So that's the most dramatic quarry. But if you continue on south from there, the soapstone seam apparently traveled in that direction, and there are other pits going south of Athens.
Yeah, we came up from the Athens side. We were hunting and he brought me up in and he wanted to show me what the compass does up in there.
Yeah, I think the GIA is doing a pipe on 19. That they're gonna run Kidder Hill down to the 16th.
Oh, big compass.
Yeah,
Let's see if we-
I like it. Yeah, I take a couple. That's interesting, I hadn't heard that. Or something that interferes in.
Yeah. And when he first found out about it, he was amazed and. Was mystified by what's up there, what's in the mountain.
Yeah,
Well, would suggest. Motion makes sense. That you contact the Nature Museum and the Fish Museum. Turner Center. In the public library and actually look at. These 2 pages in the current town plan. And suggest any changes. They would know best in a sense.
The library, Turner.
Yeah, before we, the 5th one, the mining museum doesn't exist anymore, so we know how to change that. But the Nature Museum and the History Museum. And the Turner Center,
Was it the Turner Center or Turner Foundation, Turner Center?
I don't know, Patrick would know, but in the public library. Hopefully they won't come back with 2 pages of description on it. Whittle down and get them all angry at us.
What about other things that are coming around, say the cornet band or the.
talks about that.
Or,
Yeah.
so you want to ask them for any more information, or the church, or any of the other groups that Grafton Cares people.
Well, I wasn't thinking about it, I was thinking in terms of the cultural resources on there.
Okay.
The rest of the stuff is more
Will come up.
descriptive that these exist and, it has the on it and properly. States historically, so it's good.
So just do a cultural update on the historic chapter of
Yeah.
the town plan.
Yeah, why not start again?
The library, Turner Center, Nature Museum, and
There's a Nature Museum,
Nature Museum,
and the History Museum.
History Museum.
Yeah, but there's listed, there's 5 of them listed right in a row, and one of them doesn't exist.
Which one's that?
The mining museum,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
it never did quite exist, but it was Sue Adams.
I took my daughter to a bunch of, was on display.
And she
so
had
it
a
shouldn't
big
be,
collection.
shouldn't be forgotten, so it should somehow. Be part of.
Oh, is the exhibit still there? Or did she take it back? Is the exhibit still in that building or not?
I don't know, I haven't been in that building in 4 or 5 years, so I'm sure. And it's never open. At least that's what I've been told, and it makes sense, because. And she's not healthy, and she's quite old, so. I don't think anyone else is stopping her.
Just like everything else.
Yeah,
I don't know what my resource reference is, but I do recall that she apparently has or had one of the best mineral collections anywhere around, so.
it was quite nice. It really was.
I'm just wondering if she packed it all up and
Well,
took it back home, or,
you know. After our meeting tonight, I'll drive by, I'll stop. And go up and take a look. So we have preliminary response to that.
So the folks in charge of the library, Michelle, right?
Sorry?
I'm trying to put names with the
Oh,
people to contact,
Michelle.
Michelle.
And
The
then
Turner Center would be who, Patrick?
Patrick, yeah.
Nature Museum would be. He's retiring, no, historic museum. Who's retiring from the history museum?
I don't know, what is,
Who were you just talking about that? She's. Getting on in age,
Margot was there for a while, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not up to date.
oh,
Is the Nature Museum boring, or is that?
I think Maureen Sprague would probably.
oh, yeah, Maureen, yes,
What's
yeah,
the-
yes,
what's the song? Yeah, that's the, this is cool.
yeah.
I think she's.
As far as the nature museum, we've sort of changed. Executive heads, but I don't know. Who would be the right one to approach? Or. Further information.
They have a new young director that wouldn't even have a clue. Probably. We need someone that,
Well, you could contact the band force, because, you know, they really
yeah,
prove their role in all this, so.
Yeah.
They would know the history for sure.
how about, I know she's not there anymore, but Nora Lee was there for several years, wasn't she?
Yeah, we
Was
don't
she-
know what her role is now, I don't know if there's anything. But, you know, contact the band force, they're
Yeah.
really,
It's good,
they're really,
Yeah,
and you're certainly hands-on for quite a few years.
so could I do like just a plain, just a cover letter that I send to all. Four entities and
Yeah,
ask their input. For us over the next,
and ask them that, you know, oh, we'd appreciate having it, you know. Next meeting. Otherwise, I get, you know, if we put off for. Forever, why we bump them again.
and then forget about it, like we would.
Yeah, so, just say, you know, we're working on this chapter now, we'd appreciate their input, you know, perhaps they could respond. You know, due diligence or something.
okay. You said you wanted to make a motion, or do we need a motion?
Yeah, that's, if we need that, no, sure, I'll make a motion that our chair, contact.
And I'm gonna delegate it to someone else.
Each of the, significant cultural resources, the Nature Museum, the History Museum. The Turner Center. And the public library, asking them to review. The description in the chapter 2 of the current town plan and their cultural resources and suggest they make changes and updates.
Yeah, what are the page numbers for that?
15 and 16.
I could. Probably copy those and send them along with the email. That way they have it first hand.
One of the changes that's occurred for the Historical Society has been the assumption of responsibility for the wrecked church,
Hmm,
Yeah,
which is major.
Yeah.
And who is in charge there now? Because I've heard that a few people that were in charge of even just the plants are no longer responsible, the planters and the
Hmm,
plantings that went on there.
I think it's still on the historical society.
Because I know Rick Boswell and Tanya Evans were involved somehow, and now they don't, they're not involved anymore. What I understand, so who took their place? And I don't see anything further happening with that. Do you folks,
With what, I'm sorry,
with the brick church? Or the brick meeting house?
what do you mean?
There was, at one time they had a lot of remodeling going on and
Oh,
they redid this, that, did I go work on that?
Yeah. That's,
And then, it seemed like it was a hall.
oh, I think it's finished in the sense.
yeah,
You know. We got in there and
We
it's
have,
a hard space to use, you know.
Yeah. I know they're doing an event there during the Christmas, weekend, Christmas Eve after. They have music there.
Yeah.
One of the stops for the Christmas Eve after.
Yeah. No, the sad thing is, what was it recently, was it Seraphic Bar or something, but they had, you know, one of these wonderful music groups. And they had them at the brick church instead of the white church.
The acoustics aren't the same.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it made no sense at all, it's the acoustics of the white church are world class in a sense. Brick churches, so. And it was almost like, well, we better use this as a community resource. It's too bad.
Is there heat there or no heat? Was that one of the issues with that place?
I think they've got heat in there now. Well, of course, that was one of the problems originally. The heating system was way outdated. That came out of the basement. After the flooding filled the basement full of silt. I don't know.
Was there assistance so far in there? Yeah.
It's actually now the Brick Meeting House Foundation, they acquired it from the Grafton Historical Society in Kingston. So
There's another entity, then we need.
Tanya Evans is the vice president, June Lupiana. is the president.
And when is that as of?
2023.
And it's,
I'd heard that from Maureen, that somebody had purchased it.
Maybe it makes sense to contact June. About the brick, you know, if you want. And have a few sentences.
Yeah, they actually have 3 paragraphs here. That part of my own student. They kind of talk about what they're using.
it's the Brick Meeting House. What's the name of the organization?
It's called the Brick Meeting House Foundation. And it serves the public as a place for meetings, lectures, concerts, weddings, funerals, etc.
Wow, that sounds like a good short description. We could substitute it for the mining.
There we go.
Minerals display. Okay.
I'll have June come up with a description. Which is right there anyway.
Yeah, they have a website that kind of has a brief description.
Yeah,
The new Tanya was involved and then,
She is, so, or she's listed.
yeah,
All the others are Joe Polio, Elizabeth Polio, Bill Toomey, John Gregory, Heather Gregory, Dick Groceries, and one few.
doesn't mention Rick Munster. Rick might be just financial. Donator.
what's that next again? Oh, Bill Toomey is always a good resource for something like this. But I would start off with June, when she's the president.
Yeah, she did good work, so. Okay, so we got a motion by Ron, I've got all this, I'll, contact these. Anyone want a second motion? Sure. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, now I'd like the motion to delegate this to. I'll take it. Yeah, have any other thoughts on it, Ron?
On what?
On this, for what I want to write in?
No, you know me, keep it short and simple and straight.
I'll just do a quick
To the extent possible.
intro cover letter with.
Yeah.
Those 2 pages. And please advise on how.
Yeah, and
We
you know
may
what
need to make changes.
you could do in June is ask her to look at the description of these other organizations. On those pages, and if she would come up with something similar to that for the. reviews and stuff. That'll be enough of a prompt to keep it short, so.
Well, we've got something to add to the chapter, you know,
Yeah.
inch by inch. Turn by turn. What else we got, anything? You good with that chapter? Use the chapter. You want to wade through this a little bit? Chapters are gonna get more difficult.
Eventually, yes.
That's all good, we can move on to, notice I got Sunday night in the Rockingham. Plan, hearing. Warning, did you folks all get that?
Yeah.
A while back, we had something from them that we.
Yeah.
It was just a notice that they're working on their
Yeah.
town plan, right?
And the only issue that I saw, remembering from a while back, was, Cambridge Club. Got a lot of it, go back through the middle. But, I forget, and you might remember better, or they had a designation for Cambridge Club, that, seemed, as I recall, was it innocuous or not, but I wasn't particularly worried about it. It's kind of a odd designation, but it wasn't a problem. But anyways, what we were looking at a few months ago was their preliminary draft, including the maps, and Paris Cambridge book with this broad general, almost maybe a handbook type description, but I don't remember there being an issue there that we would be worried about. It's not like they're gonna designate that as an industrial zone, on the edge of Rockingham.
No, they have a historical spot there with the old book press.
What's
On the
that?
corner.
The old,
Overpass.
That stone building that's on the corner of,
So. Those are the book press, so,
I heard it was a book press.
yeah,
you mean the old mill or something?
So,
Yeah.
those still go,
what was that?
I'm pretty sure it was a lawnmower, but I'm.
yeah, I think so too,
Even at the corner of.
because there used to be all the sheep.
Yeah.
Someone told me that was a book press.
Huh,
Never heard.
First I heard that.
Where you talking, where you talking?
Old Stone Mill in Cambridge.
The one that the section of Cambridge Lake Road is 121.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's the shell
Just a
of the
couple
walls.
Yeah.
of the walls.
I did see Hernandez's were cleaning up the brush in front of it. Of course, they go right there. Whether they formed a group to maintain that or. What? But all it is, just shows how they built with stone, there's nothing else visible there, it's the way it was.
Really changed a lot, I mean, it hasn't deteriorated farther than
Yeah.
my memory in the walls are kind of open work.
Yeah, it showed you how the stone structures can,
Must have been well built.
yeah. Is there anything in this email, should I attend or should someone attend that?
There is, that Ron Patrick had a story on it, it was a woman built.
Before it was a book press?
Close to it.
Yeah, Ron would know,
Yeah, I was gonna say, if anybody will know, it'd be him.
Well, the original Wool Bill was then a slot and gristmill. Later it was.
yeah. I guess all the hundreds of people I've told it was a book press.
It was destroyed by fire about 1878.
So it's been standing as a stone skeleton for 150 years.
Yeah,
Very cool.
well, these old places.
Must have been good masonry and good cement.
Mm.
Anna and I made a point for a couple of years of visiting small towns in Vermont. Checking out histories of summer, like Middletown, Creekwood Springs. On the other side of the side, they had a 500-room hotel there. In the late hundreds, somehow,
Wow, it's quite a building.
Holy
Yeah,
man,
yeah, no idea, it didn't look like that.
Wow.
Really?
that's like a book press.
so there was spring there. That someone managed to, fake the world out, but this is a health spa place. But the 500-room hotel, what if I'm experiencing?
I don't know if it's in the Rockingham town plan, but there's one aspect of bordering on Grafton that they're concerned that we don't screw up for them, and that is the access to the southwest corner of the Rockingham town forest, which is the sharp bend on Anderson Road. It's virtually not visible right now, on our end. Because someone who, and it was probably the person that built their home there, destroyed any trace of the road leading in from Anderson Road into the top end of the town forest. The other end of the road comes out down near
Eastman?
written, no, what's this?
The other end of Anderson Road?
Record Concrete had a building down there in Bartonville. There's a construction company in there now.
Yeah,
I don't know what to describe this.
is that the town fire mode or the one that has the boxes, which you're talking about?
It goes to the west. And it looks just like a driveway right now. But it's still a town right away. It calls that drainage up into the town forest. So they would want to make sure that we didn't screw up their access going in on the top side. Or potential for it. And then they can still access from the bottom side. So if you go down in that little complex of roads down there. Where the old state police barracks were, if you back up to the corner. Towards the Ingersport Road. Then. At that intersection, and you went north on that little connector that connects you further up about a mile on Route 103. Not more than probably a couple hundred yards down the road, there's a driveway that turns to the left, and that's where the bottom access into their town forest. Probably see it on our maps. And again, I don't know whether it's in their town plan or anything about it's there, but just as something to keep in your mind. We need to make sure we don't impact them by compromising their ability to access from there. But if you drive up Anderson Road, you'll drive up past say some of their other road that's in Grafton, going up, and then there's a sharp corner to the left on Anderson. And it's about 3/4 of a mile from the Grafton town line, where that sharp corner is, and it's to the north, right there.
So is there any reason? Should we attend the Zoom meeting here, or is it necessary? As far as community report. What are they, that's just, they total bill fly,
Yeah.
you know. In front of the community. There's no commerce there, there's a farm out. There was a farm out back. Behind. As you go on, you go past the woolen mill. And, but you go up the hill before the curve, there's a road to the right.
Yeah,
There's a farm, wasn't there a farm down there? Little farmland?
no, it's farmland there, there's a farm right on the corner. And then if you go a little bit farther. There's a house with a barn, which has been plugging, building the fair crop.
It's the, flag there.
No, it's not.
No?
No, going north on Painterfield Road.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Okay, if you're going south, then there's a road that turns almost immediately.
Yep.
It was schoolhouse, old schoolhouse.
Oh, no school, wasn't there a farm, farmland down there?
The farmland that,
Really? Going down there?
well, no, I'd say.
There's no farmhouse, land, farm,
Yeah, yeah, the barn,
and the schoolhouse down there.
the
So
barn.
that's gonna be a historic site for that.
Schoolhouse farm.
I've been down there a long time. There's gonna be what? 20 acres, 30 acres of field down there?
Probably,
And that's floodplain from Saxon River.
yeah. Store is no longer in business. Before,
Yeah. That's about it.
DNR. It used to be called DNR.
So other than reporting that this is occurring, there's nothing more that we need to do. We have to acknowledge that we've received the notice, or do you want to do that already? Like when we send them out, when we do our town file, we have to notify the.
Yeah.
Nobody. If we don't hear anything back, then there's,
no, I guess it would be nice if you
just acknowledge,
something, that said, we got your notice.
yeah. Okay. I'll just do that. Received and mentioned at our.
Yeah.
Meeting on October 8th.
Yeah.
Um. I put grant opportunities, and I forget why, because. Someone mentioned,
A quick question, so
Yeah.
there's not like a schedule for towns that they follow, each town does their own cycle, is that right? 'Cause-
Right.
Sure.
the grant opportunity, I think I put that there because. I think everyone received the, on the EV, not the EV, but the, I think that's it out. They wanted, some grant money out there for. Climate,
Or energy products. Project.
yeah, energy projects, there we go, energy, what they call it.
Like electric lights from the library.
Yes. That was one suggestion.
Well,
Put
actually,
it in
the
an
suggestions
EV.
that when they actually things that towns have gotten grants for.
The BCR, the catalyst innovation.
Just the ones like the 400 or 4,000, is the small little grant.
Yeah.
They're very like personal, you know what they,
So bikes,
no, it was, I didn't know where the bikes came from, I don't. And I still don't get the connection between the bikes and the library.
Well, I think one of the recommendations was to put an electric. Station, energy station.
Yeah, that was
Station at the library for bikes. That's, you know. And I forget, is that a list of actual grants that have been given or just?
it was just
Yeah,
ideas that other towns have applied and received
Yeah.
funding for.
yeah,
so the idea is, you know, we can come up with our own. You know, weird.
Yeah.
Combination of things, but.
well. Here's an opinion, I wanted to bring it back, let's use the grant money to help. People who are gonna freeze to death this winter because they can't purchase fuel.
Yeah, that's climate change. Issue, related issue. Yeah, no.
Was it Marco that sent that?
Yeah.
Margot here.
And
And actually it was forwarded by Morgan.
and heads up, Margot is changing roles in the WRC. And she will no longer be staff to the Energy Committee, which I sit on. And I think the guy that sent us basically the town plan. Blueprint update kind of information. That Bachler will be heading up energy down there. You know, have that in his portfolio.
It says window dressers support for low income residents. It's a window dresser.
Wonders. Actually, that's a kind of,
Those insulated curtains?
no,
Oh,
No?
I think that was the Colton curtains.
No. I used to be a business on Brown.
Yeah, there's Deborah worked there. And there's something.
Okay, window dressers started in Maine. And they have a formulaic way of making what I would call indoor storm windows with a wooden, fairly rugged little wooden frame and stretched plastic across that frame. And it is custom measured to fit in each window that they offer them. The program started in Maine and has morphed its way into little groups all the way back to 2 or 3 main groups in Vermont that spawn other little groups that follow through. And the reason that it doesn't have many big groups is because the machinery to make the wooden frame is a little bit sophisticated. But the labor and the other stuff to take a pre-cut frame, put it together, stretch the plastic on and go and assemble it at someone's home is quite doable in a local group. I know Wyndham up here has done it before. There are a bunch of other places in the region that have formed window dresser groups, and they're all related back to Maine. And they have maybe one or two places in Vermont that do the frame cut.
Never heard of
Really
it.
inexpensive.
Sounds like they really would.
They do.
You know, with our old housing stock around here. Be something worthwhile taking.
Yeah, it doesn't destroy the, architectural elegance of the
Maybe that one
windows like that.
So it might be that was a grant that worked for another town, maybe it'll be willing. Could help people
Yeah.
So how much, they don't say how much the grants available.
out, for $500 to $4,000.
You pull it out off that email?
500 to 4,000, yeah, it's at the bottom.
Is this the one from Margot or Meg? I'm looking at Meg Stahl.
Morgan forwarded it from Margaret, it's in Margaret's email. A new round of climate catalyst innovation fund is now open for applications, see below for more information. Grants range from 500 to 4,000.
I put it somewhere. I got another one from Meg.
And that's where she had these bullets and window dressers. Which I've never heard of those things.
Yeah, in Wyndham, Bill Dunkel, who is both on the planning commission, I believe, and on the energy committee, was part of the group up there that did window dressers. I think there's a similar group down in Rockingham.
Well,
So that
might be a
makes more
handle of
sense
really
than
help people.
putting in charges for like bikes at the library.
Oh, yeah, well, there's something inherently wrong with that concept anyway. Because as far as I know, there's no universal standards between electric bikes for chargers.
It's like the parents.
Cars are a different,
Well, you get less Tesla and.
yeah, there's Tesla and everybody else.
Yes, yeah.
So everybody else actually has a standard, if you go with the everybody else kind of charger, it has the same plug, it has the same electrical characteristics, and it will work without causing a problem. Electric bikes have their own charger. And one of the things you don't want to do with the kind of battery that's on an electric bike is charge it with a charger that was not made for it.
Even simpler than that is that electric bikes, each of these models has their own plug. Some have 3 little prongs like this, some have 3 little prongs like that, just everyone.
So you guys just plug into an outlet?
Well, no, but you have to plug, it plugs into the outlet, the charger is really just the charger, I mean, it's just like I don't think that's, I think the problem really is, that I think you're right. Because there's absolutely no universality in the plug, you eventually plug, your
The charger
charger
into an outlet.
the battery.
Yeah.
And that connection between the where the battery is in the bike frame is different for everybody.
They had some fire training on electric vehicles and how to put them out, and they talked about electric bikes. There's a lot of fire, they just,
Yeah,
it's on fire.
They have outlawed them.
outlawed.
We no longer permit them to be, people to put them in garages.
Yeah, you should.
But let me also say, there is, and it's not a big electric bike there. And there's a very big distinction between the really cheap. The batteries that are blowing up are cheap
Yeah,
batteries.
non-regulated.
It's quality control, bike company like Johnny or Cannondale or Track batteries. Are the ones that are going.
and there's also a difference in lithium chemistries between batteries that are popular, say, for cell phone laptops. household batteries that are designed with battery backup batteries. With the exception of Tesla. The nickel cobalt manganese battery, which has been developed for transportation purposes like Tesla, happens to have a feature that if you don't rigorously control its charging, it'll go into thermal runaway and then become a giant road flare. And it's awfully hard if you've taken that training to put one of those stoppers in.
Yeah, they essentially say, oh, don't try, continue,
Really,
and let it burn itself out.
And I would guess that you can probably extinguish a small one with the metal type of fire extinguisher. If they could use for magnesium fires.
Yeah.
Or a lot of dirt, literally bury it and suffocate it. Because if you put water on it, it burns hot enough to disassociate the water and give itself its own oxygen and eats right on the burn.
Well, did we think about that window dressing or something to investigate?
That's a really viable thing to do, though. Cost effective, the thing you've got to come up with, the volunteers that get enthused enough to spend some time to do this.
Did you have to go out and measure it?
You measure every single window very carefully.
Yeah.
And then you have like a quilting bee kind of going. Some sort of kind of operation where you actually assemble all this stuff and it comes back in from the measurements. And then you have to go out and install.
Did you see a demonstration at some meeting about that? Was either in a Zoom meeting? I remember seeing it, and they showed how to measure everything. It was a Zoom meeting.
Hmm.
Maybe that's where there was some program that was, up there. So how do you, how do you know how much money you need, and do you have to have all the homes that need it? Apply for the grant? Or do you just apply for the grant, this is what we'd like to do this for?
I think the grant would have to cover the expense of the local supplies that are required to put these things together. Once you've got the dimension frame in your hands.
And then how do you qualify for the,
Is there a deadline for application?
Pretty quick.
soon, yeah.
we've only had this few, what, not even 2 weeks?
In September 25th, we said no, it's been taken until October 28th.
October 28th. That's just, well, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. But,
I mean, that's the closest to help people keep warm.
well, yeah, there's someone, I mean,
Morgan is kind of saying if you have an idea, to other nodes, so she may.
yeah. You know, because there's another town that's looking into this, they may have done some of the preliminary work to save us some time. You know, if it's depending on. You know, how serious they are about going about choosing grantees. You know, we might have to submit some information, Morgan would have to, so that's what it comes down to, but, you know, about how many houses would we estimate, could be served by this. So
Is it
That
by
would be going-
need, is it by income level?
Oh, and, you know, I think you have to keep it simple, if you go to Wyndham Regional Commission, their data site for Grafton, you have right there percentage of homes that are below certain, value, and then you have the percentage of, you know, households, at various income levels. So you can pull that off pretty quickly, and end up saying, well, you know, we have 430 home structures here and 25% low income or something like that. And that's it, you know, if you're up with $4,000 grant pretty soon. Start serving it. So what I think is we can show the need. If we-
And we'd have to present that to the select board. Or,
It's going to at least some of the select board. Actually, I think all of the select board got the policy.
Yeah, Joe replied with a, suggestion of a electric vehicle charger.
here,
Some,
yeah,
um. If it were to be here. Actually, if it were to be anywhere in town, I would strongly recommend that it be the fast charger that would recharge an ordinary electric vehicle charger. Vehicle battery within about 2 hours.
so is that, whoever wants to use that, do they have to put a card in to pay for that service?
That is one way of doing it, and I think that would be a good way of doing
And we could maybe make some money on it,
it. Yeah,
or at least pay for the unit and rent them,
maybe the revenue from it could be invested in,
fuel for our generator.
or making another charger somewhere.
Or fuel for our generator.
A fuel for what generator?
For here. Or is it Winning Foundation?
That's one of their generator and their diesel.
But don't we provide something to them for that in
We
return?
did, the town entered into an agreement with them and paid a certain fee up front
Yeah.
for the ability to tap into it every time they had a power. That's relatively recent, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, it's.
this year.
What fund is that come, what? Where is that coming from?
Probably emergency management. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could have been the
So,
select
how
board.
much could you make off these chargers?
Well,
Provided someone uses it.
I think you could, make as much as, maybe 50% of what it would. Otherwise cost for someone to be running a gasoline car.
Mm,
I mean, there's gonna be a tipping point where somebody is gonna. Let's say, well, I'm not gonna be drafting because I can't recharge my car.
or cost too much, yeah.
Yeah.
What are they charging at the end, anyone know? Or is it whoever owns, I mean, do they actually own that charger, or is there a service that owns that charger? It just sits there, you don't do like a. Like the fuel pumps at a gas service station, those are owned by. The company who brings fuel, right?
Most of the time. I think we really should try and have as many chargers in town as we can accommodate, because that's something that's gonna prevent people from wanting to come here. Whether they're vacationing or riding through, or that it's it's both a kind of a lifeline hanging out to people and an attraction to come here and spend their money, so I think it's be well spent and should be done to the town, so.
I know there are a lot of cars coming through. Just out of my yard. You can hear them coming, worrying. And on the weekend, I bet at least half the cars going by. Are electric. When I'm sitting out in the campsite. Just the sound of the wheels on the gravel.
So it's just a link. one for Tesla. Just says free. And then 2.2 ports of Blink. Which are 0.22 cents per kilowatt.
So cheap rates.
Tesla is cheaper, it's maintained by Tesla. It says free, at least on this site. For charge hub.
So is that something? The Tesla put it in, Tesla's offering it for free. Because they know it's their car that's gonna be getting charged there, and they've got it marked into their margin.
I said it's a monopoly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yet the electricity has to be paid for by someone.
Yeah, probably.
Tesla has kind of, it's the whole division. They're charging division. Who was fired and then 2 weeks later hired back because they realized it was a stupid thing to do. Yeah, they have a whole model about how that works. I think it's priced into their overall business model.
But if they still put up a unit,
And they may charge the places they install them. I don't know. It doesn't say that.
well, that's what I'm getting at, is the Wyndham Foundation pay Tesla to have it there. Or vice versa.
Yeah, I don't know. Just so it doesn't, they don't charge. To charge.
Okay, I've got a fuel pump here with fuel, you can come and take fuel. Who's paying for the fuel? Something we need to dig into deeper.
It's interesting.
The other item I had was, I had Meg and Margot mixed up. This one's, I don't know if you all thing from Morgan as well. Railroad development,
EDCC.
yeah, sent, CEDS. Submit projects to the CEDS, it was for comprehensive economic development strategy. So, First time to submit any and all projects that they are working on with CEDS. Any any critical projects for your community. Projects to be in any stage. Show ready, so they're just looking for projects. And you're going. Like a wastewater treatment. And they're asking each region to submit up to 10 projects. Did anyone else get this email?
I'm looking at it, but what's the deadline for submission is 10/15.
Yeah. Well, it came,
For October 2nd.
it must be October 2nd.
Yeah.
Time for old business.
Okay, anyway, I wanted to throw those out there. Any old business?
Back on grant opportunities just for a second. If we want to, go for municipal planning grant. For, extra work from WRC about a year from now. We should be planning on getting the ducks in a row. About 6 months from now, so that it can go and get submitted. Late summer. So that we actually can get the money in hand. To have to pay WRC. Just to keep them in your horizon.
So that grant could pay for that systems of the
Yeah.
Illinois town plan.
Yes,
Okay, so. Why can't we just apply for it now?
Well, it's a yearly grant, and the, grant submission. I think usually happens in. I want to say September, no, it could be.
Do they send reminders on that one,
Don't know.
like a week from when they're due?
Well, maybe we can ask Morgan for just a brief overview of the timeline involved. So we can have that at our next meeting and start being more concrete about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Want me to add that to the next agenda, municipal
but
grant?
also I would ask to contact Morgan and ask her if she can just give a brief overview of some timing involved. It's come up pretty fast. And
It's a municipal planning grant. And we had one to help us with. I think the last town plan revision. No, not this revision before this. Don't recall precisely. We've also had a municipal planning grant to do the study of the river fluvial erosion hazard. Basically mapping things out on the river to understand where there was risk from flash flooding.
Old business? That's so back to grant. Yeah, over.
Whole business, we should continue on with, PFAS mitigation work, or at least research. Soon as your person down in Texas gets back on their feet,
Yeah,
talk about that.
good points. Get my contact. And I saw that she's probably gonna have more time. Here now that I can talk to her about that. And catch her before she goes. To the island, she does some work on some islands on, forget what island it is. Where they do a lot of plant. Research. Can't remember the island she goes to.
And that's for water treatment.
Yeah. All right, any new business? I'm gonna bring up the Outdoor Alliance survey. That. They sent us. Well, it's getting late, but. I saw I ran into Meg, Gonzalez. No. Who's the? Chief maker?
That sounds right.
Is it Gonzalez?
That sounds like the right
Okay,
last name.
I bumped into her just before the meeting and, I asked her to send that, survey, because I couldn't open it, but you were able to open it.
Yeah, I sent it to you as a Word document.
She wanted to know when our next meeting was, so they can come and. Share ideas with them. Not to get into the survey, but it gets quite in depth. Don't you think? But
I'm sorry.
this survey gets
Yeah,
quite lengthy.
it does. It's a draft too, so it's got all their comments.
Yeah. I've seen this before, there was a survey that went out way back. Did anyone else see it? With the Outdoor Alliance?
I don't.
it really was quite in depth. Like, what type of activity you envision, walking, hiking, trail riding, dog walking, horseback riding, mountain biking, road biking. It lists 30 things here. And attached, how many already, we view, right? We're taking these activities, I'm reading that one. And then the between 1 and 5, how important is recreational value, habitat preservation and wildlife connectivity. 28 question. And if you answer one, you have to go on to the next one and answer that in more depth.
It's got some open-ended ones, there's, from radar, what would you, we all get this? I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Morgan, so.
I'm going to share this board document.
It came today, is that what you're talking about? This afternoon, I see the cracked on that door on here.
Yes, it came yesterday or today, yeah. Actually, it came this morning, you're right.
I got this second.
So I thought about the survey that we wanted to do. We didn't want to get this in depth, but again, it's a draft. I think as people see this, we're gonna go, I forget where I saw it, or if it wasn't from the Grafton Alliance, it was from the Grafton Alliance, it was from Women Regional have sent something like this out, maybe a while ago.
I think you did have a survey on that, but
It was a paper survey that came out. And I remember starting it going, okay, let's try this. Okay, maybe a third way through, I don't have time for this thing.
We have, my work, we have clients that spend a lot of money on this, we don't send surveys with more than 4 questions. But, you won't get an answer. You really gotta focus in on what you wanna know, or people are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot.
And then they get into the essay. What word or phrase best describes your existing experience with the environmental educational opportunities in Grafton? What word or phrase describes your desired future experience? It's got several like that.
What word or phrase describes your level of irritation?
A lot of Chris here can write in. Are there any other thoughts? That's right in there.
Right, I'll let Meg know that we discussed it.
I would wonder how they're going to analyze the results.
Oh my God,
Oh, that's true. Looking at survey results as a whole.
that's a great point. Did we talk about that when we were thinking of doing a survey? Years
We
ago.
did, yes.
You have to hire it out. And then do you get the right answer?
Yeah, you gotta keep it brief and you gotta keep it very targeted. And don't make it too open-ended or instructive.
Well, I'm gonna,
It's good.
if they wanna save that. Tell them, or we just send a little note to Meg to keep it simple
I don't even know, I think it'd be good feedback.
and keep it
Where
short.
are they planning on giving a survey to? Because I didn't pick that up.
I guess us, the residents.
I mean, everyone in town gets it, or they go house to house with it,
Yeah. People who
they
get it.
mail it out, or they put it in as an insert in the draft news, that's one thing. If you go house to house, you can ask more questions, you get fewer people responding. Well, no, that's not true. If you send out a survey, people don't respond anyways.
It says it's expected to be sent to community members, surrounding towns, etc. community efforts. For trail connectivity and general outdoor recreation.
Well. Good luck.
So keep it short, and then who gets the survey and who tallies the results? They're good points.
And what Buzz said, they're very targeted. A few questions that are very well, crafted. Otherwise, it scatters and probably not going to get any kind of a analyzable result.
Cause you could get one very well written, thoughtful answer, but if you want to get that from one person, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Well, these things are real problems, because, who returns them, fills them out. And it's a crucial thing in all this stuff.
It's a self-selecting group. And you very rapidly lose any sense of universal application.
Yeah, exactly.
People with vested interest are gonna spend a lot of time trying to get their opinion across. And there are other people who have just as much justification or need for their opinion to be heard, who just won't respond at all.
Oh, yeah, no, it's fine.
Keep it very short, very pointed, you know, that tipping point.
So they wanna come next meeting.
And she wanted to know when the next meeting was.
Yeah, well. Might be easier to have this sort of conversation with, real people.
Mm. Well, she sent me, she sent it to me again. And I will, just mention that we brought it up in new business and, our discussion suggests these items. And happy to have you at our next meeting if you'd like to discuss it further. But this organization, or alliance, alliance fits into our next town plan as well, doing what they're doing. To kind of tie in all these trails and for lights.
Yeah. If you made this like a pick list and you use like the first 5 of these. That. They probably get some responses. But, and they do go into a lot of. A lot of people.
Even the activity that you take and a lot of those activities don't exist in Grafton.
Yes, and I'm not exactly sure what naturalness is. Do you participate in naturalness?
So walking in the woods nude or, well, most of you do that, right?
Is there a place like that on top of Clemson?
Yeah, but this can't go.
What was London? It was a place, right? It was still there.
Certainly.
It's still experience. But still pretty.
All right, well,
Okay.
any other new business? Ron, you didn't have any other new business, do you?
Yeah, no.
Even if you did, you weren't gonna. Okay, public comment? No, next meeting, November 12th. Remind me to send out an agenda. If there's anything you want to add to the agenda, let me know. We'll do the next chapter, which will be chapter 3.
Yeah, what's that?
Economics.
We'll dig a little deeper in that one.
Well, that'll get a little more interesting.
Okay,
Okay.
motion to adjourn?
Okay.
Yeah, I have 9:01, that says 9:05. All those in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Opposed? Ron, no. Thank you.
Thank you. We have to go out, we have to go. Look at that mineral move there.
The what?
See if it's still there.
Oh.
Good night, folks.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know.
You get all that recorded?
What's that?
You get all that recorded?
Actually, it's difficult to make one out of the page of that.
You know how to get the recording off of this in the morning?
Really, I
try to look.
It's
very hard to hear.
It's such a bad thing with technology now. Really. Where you want to stop it?